This is the worst podcast I've ever been on. These guys are shit. It's true.
This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com. The only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation listeners, welcome once again to the longest running weekly episodic comic book podcast in all of Place to Be Nation. I am Greg Phillips. That voice attempting to harmonize with me on the other side of the line is Nick Duke. We are the Hard-Traveling Fanboys. And we are right here in our studios in downtown. Have we ever established that it's downtown? I don't know. We're in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, inside Ho Ho Loon Plaza, in the L-shaped studio. Nick, I understand that you're looking well tonight.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, my messenger from the other side of the studio informed me of that. So, all is going well. Good weekend, Nick. Good week for you.
Yeah, as far as I know.
Yes. We've got a lot of news in the world, a lot of things going on. We've got a NBA season has started.
Oh, that doesn't matter. No one cares about that.
We've got the baseball playoffs going on. Actually, the World Series now, not even the playoffs. And
baseball doesn't exist anymore.
No, that's a great point. I agree. And most importantly, football season is still well. College football season is still going on. So
the NFL season is still going on.
Is it, Nick? Is it for either of us? Is it
the race to the bottom? We have to.
We are filthy, stinky,
deadlocked in a race to the bottom.
Keep your filthy hands off of that worst spot in the league position, my friend. And listen, we're not even talking about the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'd settle for second. I would settle for second. Well, I'd be fine with letting you have the number one spot.
You got to compete with the Cincinnati Bengals too now. What are they doing?
Well, we're going to start trading off every notable player that anyone will take. So
listen. Is Matt Ryan even really hurt? Do we know this? Is it possible they're just going to hold him out for the rest of the year?
He did sprain an ankle and did not practice today, so I would actually be somewhat surprised if he played on Sunday, and then he would probably come back after the bye week under the new interim head coach of whoever that's going to be.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a quick and efficient change back to Josh Rosen here in Miami. But anyway, we're not here to talk about football. My God, it's Walking Dead month. That's the real exciting thing going on in the world, right?
No.
That's true. But nonetheless, Walking Dead month will continue for one more week. And why are we here today? What are we talking about here today? What's going on? What's causing all this? The answer is a Longbook Hunters episode. That's right.
God.
We are delving back into the printed word to look at Robert Kirkman and Charlie Adlard's The Walking Dead comic book. When last we left you in the Longbook Hunters for Walking Dead month, a year ago, we had reviewed Walking Dead Volume 4. And now we have moved all the way on, Nick, believe it or not, to Walking Dead Volume 5, subtitled The Best Defense. Nick, what do you think is the best defense?
I don't know. It's hard to say right now. The offenses have really changed over the last few years to where it's hard to tell who really has the best defense. Who statistically, I'm not even sure who it would be. I don't even know.
Well, I believe
in the pro ranks, it's the Patriots.
It's the Patriots, yes. And in the college ranks, I mean, gosh, who even knows, really?
No one knows.
Who knows? And I find that in general, the best defense, at least the old saying goes that I don't believe in this, by the way, but the best defense is a great offense, is the old saying. And in this case, it's a great offense. And the great offense is the writing of The Walking Dead Volume 5, The Best Defense. Yes, folks, it's that time again where every year we read another volume of the Walking Dead comic book, and every year we become more and more flabbergasted at the overwhelming success of the Walking Dead comic book. Nick, take it away for a moment, just before we delve into the meat and potatoes of this rather barren feast.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this for it's our 4th Walking Dead month, I think. 4 years now, so that sounds about right. You and I have somewhat controversially blasted this, even from the jump. But I think we would both agree that we pretty savagely reviewed the first volume, but yet it's been all downhill since then. I think each year we return to this, it has gotten progressively worse and worse, both from a writing standpoint and, as we'll discuss, I'm sure, from an artistic standpoint. This entire comic, I am just baffled by the success that it found. And really, outside of the general premise and the names of characters, it doesn't really have much to do at all with the show that wound up sweeping pop culture by storm. Pacing, tone, and just the economy of the storytelling are just two totally different things when comparing the comic to the television show. And it's hard to think of anything I've seen the comic do to this point that wasn't done much, much better in the television show.
I completely agree with that sentiment, Nick. And I think it's magnified by the fact that the events of this book that unfold are parallel to the events that unfold in the best seasons of the television show, which we talked about in the last episode, being the prison episodes, right? Or the prison seasons, right? And that's where we are in this volume. When we pick things up, Rick Grimes and his band of merry men and women and children have settled into the prison, and they've gotten rid of the riffraff. Several characters in the last volume died, none of whom I particularly cared about. Alan, I believe, is the most prominent guy that died in the last volume, and I don't remember much about him, except that he had those 2 kids, the twins, that are written so poorly in this one. Nonetheless, they're all settled in. You have Rick and Lori, who is pregnant with child that will, I'm assuming, eventually become Judith, as she does in the show. Carl is there, doing Carl things. And you've got Carol, who is a vastly different character in the book than she is in the TV show. And she's trying to get over her ruined love affair with Tyrese, who is apparently having a fling with Michonne.
Yeah, I remember Michonne just showed up and walked up and started filleting him in the last volume. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, I had forgotten all about that. But that is indeed what happened.
She just walks outside with Tyrese and goes, "I know what you need," and then
blows him.
Goes to town, which good for Tyrese, I suppose.
And anyway, Carol is all off put by this. But then you've got, who else are the main players? Oh, yes, you've got the sort of disturbing relationship between Dale and Andrea.
Don't be hating on that guy.
In the book,
Dale is just doing what he can.
In the book, Andrea is presented as a very young woman, and Dale is an old man.
Why, look at, who is it? What's his name? Isn't Dennis Quaid marrying like a 25-year-old or something like that?
Yes, he is. Old JR was happy about that one on Twitter, wasn't he?
No different. It's no different. You let Dale do what he has to do.
I got nothing against age differences, man. Sometimes love is love, right? And Dale and Andrea love each other, right? They do. I have nothing against that. And then there is who else am I missing here of the main group? There's the twins that were orphaned by their father.
You already mentioned
Alan.
them. Yep.
There is Sophia, who is Carol's daughter, not Carl's daughter. Carol's daughter, Sophia, lives in this. She's not deed yet. Herschel Green, and the people from his farm. Otis, lady whose name I don't know is ever mentioned in the story. The lady that Otis tries to win back later in the book. Nick, who is she?
Oh, I don't remember.
And then we'll get into a little bit of why we don't remember these characters in a minute. Maggie and Glenn, of course, can't leave them out. They're here doing Maggie and Glenn things. They're probably the closest to their TV counterparts, would you say?
Yes. In terms of at this point in their relationship, all they want to do is go hide somewhere and screw, which was pretty much their their MO in the TV show as well.
Yes. And who else are part of the main players? Axel. There's a much different Axel in the book than there is in the TV show. This guy's a big, chunky, bearded guy versus a Sully-looking individual. And I think that's it. I think that's all the main players here that we've got laid out. It's possible I've forgotten someone. Tweet me at JR'sBBQ and let me know if I've forgotten anyone important. Anyway, they're trying to adjust to life in the prison. They found a new area of the prison which they've cleared out, and they're going to try to spread out and kind of have more space to themselves, really make it a home. And they're trying to clear out some of the zombies, which are referred to, oddly enough, in the book as zombies, something they've never been referred to in the TV show. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to clear this out and clear these zombies out, and suddenly, and this isn't spoiling too much about the book, I don't think, but there is a helicopter that is seen above, and it starts to go down and crash, and this leads Rick, Michonne, and Glenn to follow the trail of the helicopter to try to see if there were any survivors that they could rescue and bring back to the prison. And instead, their journey brings them to a little place called Woodbury, which, if you know from the television show, looks like a very friendly place at first and ends up being a nightmare. Well, Nick, how long did that take to play out on the TV series for us to find out, what Woodbury was, who its citizens were, how the whole game was played there?
Several episodes. I don't remember how many exactly, but I remember Andrea met the governor first, and he seemed all nice and benign, and then it was probably like 4 or 5 episodes, but here it's more like 4 or 5 pages is all you get, because they meet the governor. The next thing you know, they're having fights with walkers as enforcers for entertainment, and then he pretty much reveals, we just take strangers and feed them to the walkers just for shits and giggles, and now we're going to feed you to the walkers as well.
Yep, you're a stranger. We're gonna feed you, but you got something we want, so we're gonna torture you first.
Yep.
And so the entire arc of the readers finding out that the governor is a bad guy, and Rick and his crew finding out that the governor is a bad guy, and Rick and his crew being tortured by the governor, all plays out in one volume of this book, and in fact, pretty much in 2 issues of this book. It's way too fast. It's way too rushed. In the series, if I remember correctly, the audience knows that the governor is a creep before any of the other characters do. Michonne is skeptical of him, but everybody else kind of Andrea primarily, takes the governor at his word that he's this nice man, and it's only as the season progresses that we find out what a depraved individual the governor is. Here, like you said, Nick, within a few pages of meeting the governor, we find out that the governor is a sadistic maniac. How sadistic of a maniac is the governor in the Walking Dead comic book, you might ask? Well, for starters, he rapes Michonne. That's right. He ties Michonne up after she bites his ear off, and he rapes her repeatedly.
And then brags about it. To her, to other characters, and then and then he goes off panel to go do it again.
And where's Rick when all this is happening, you might ask? Well, Rick has had his hand chopped off by the governor.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rick is nursed back to life by a kindly doctor who he's asked why he works for this asshole, and he says, well, I don't really have a choice, and he keeps the city safe, and that's all anybody cares about. And all of this plays out again so quickly And yet, Nick, I don't know if you felt the same way, it was the only interesting thing happening in the book. Because
because the rest of it was just awful.
Boring.
Everything happening at the prison was just like all the characters look and talk and act the same.
Yep.
Tyree stands out because he's black, but he's the only black character there, and Michonne. But I mean, everybody else just talks and looks and acts the same. Nothing interesting is happening at the prison. They're just literally standing there poking walkers through the fence for some reason. Like that's their grand plan. Oh, and gas siphoning. I know you were a big fan of the gas siphoning, Greg.
Yes, the gas siphoning, which in and of itself wouldn't be an issue. Yes, you might have to siphon gas in the zombie apocalypse. I get it. Here's the problem. As is the MO of these Walking Dead comics, which we've been beating into the ground for 4 years now, everybody in this comic book is incapable of doing anything in their lives without explaining to the reader what it is that they're doing. In this case, Nick, the conversation to set up siphoning the gas goes something like this. All right, guys, we need to get a team to go outside of the walls and find some cars and siphon some gas. And then when we siphon the gas, we'll be able to take the gasoline and put it into our motor vehicles that we have inside the walls, which we can then take out on our expeditions. What do you think, guys? Well, I don't know, Rick. Personally, I think we should wear these cool new suits I found so we could go out and siphon gas. And it might even help us siphon the gas more efficiently. What do you think? I agree with the rest of the group. We need to siphon some gas. All right, then it's settled. We're going to go out of the walls and we're going to siphon some gas. Everybody, get your gear together and get ready to siphon some goddamn gas. Fucking hell! They're gonna siphon the gas. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna siphon the gas. That's what we've come to. Pages of people talking about siphoning freaking gas. So
well, and we also found out in this volume that Carol wants to practice her gas siphoning skills with Rick at the same time as Lori.
That's correct. Because Carol is so distraught after the end of her relationship with Tyrese. She's so scarred by walking in on him being blown by Michonne that she's lost her mind completely. And she sits there and literally, I'm not making this up, with no build-up, with no prior build-up to this at all, she proposes to Lori to be a co-wife with her of Rick. Or a hybrid between the two, rather. She wants a three-way marriage with Rick and Carol, or Rick and Lori, with them raising the three of their kids together. Lori makes the comment that I'm from Kentucky. Do you really think I'd go for that? Which I'm not sure what the hell that's supposed to mean.
She's conservative. From people in Kentucky are conservative,
and so needless to say, Lori says no, that's ridiculous. And then Carol gets mad, but then later in the issue, she puts her hand on Lori's thigh, and Lori still rejects her. So, first of all, yet another reason why Lori is just the worst, Nick. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Why not just string her along a little bit, you know?
I know, or just see where it goes. I mean, it's the zombie apocalypse. You never know. You need to find companionship wherever it may pop up.
If Tyrese can get a blowjob from a woman he's never met before, why can't Carol enter into a marriage that was already existent? That's all I want to know. Anyway, if all this sounds ridiculous, it's because it is. In a book about zombies, the zombies are not the most ridiculous part. So, what else do we have going on here? Siphoning gas. Oh, everybody stands around. We talked last episode about that, or last episode of our show about the Walking Dead episode where Rick sits around all episode, Nick, and plans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talks about his damn plan. He won't stop talking about his plan. Well, I understand now why they made that episode. They made that episode because in the comic book, everyone does that. They just stand around planning for things, which I understand. People need to plan for things. They need to prepare themselves for what could happen. However, Have you ever, Nick, in the modern era, post-Silver Age, have you encountered a comic book that explains as much to its readers as the Walking Dead comic books do?
I don't know that I have.
Because every character, without exception, explains to the reader every thought that's going through their head, why they are doing what they're doing, and what they're going to do next. And then, virtually every scene ends in the exact same manner with a close-up panel shot of someone's face giving a befuddled look. Did you notice that, Nick? How many pages ended with somebody just staring at the reader with this puzzled look on their face, or a stern look on their face, or a curious look on their face? It's the same beats over and over and over again. And it's people standing at the fence saying, all right, we need to clear out all of these walkers, or all these zombies. So what we're going to do is we're going to stand 15 feet to the left, and we're going to shoot them. Then we're going to take the body and drag it inside the fence. But we have to make sure the second fence stays open. The third fence stays closed. The first fence stays halfway open and halfway closed. Or do you follow me? I'm not sure. Could you repeat it? Absolutely. Let's repeat it again. And they go through this song and dance over and over and over again, explaining their thoughts, explaining their feelings, telling and not showing. Robert Kirkman shows, and I'm trying not to be hyperbolic with this review. I truly am. And I know I'm monopolizing your time, Nick. But I have to get this off my chest after reading this book yesterday. Care. It took me 2.5 hours to read this book because nothing happens. But
people need to understand how monumental that is for a book. An entire graphic novel will only take you 2.5 hours to read. I mean, that just tells you that nothing is happening. And if Greg is breezing through it, you're not exactly stimulating his mind.
No. And what I was going to say is, and I'm not saying this is a personal attack on Robert Kirkman by any means. I'm saying this as a criticism of his writing. Robert Kirkman shows zero faith in his artist, Charlie Adlard. What I mean by that is, think about the Marvel method. Do you imagine that this book was made with the Marvel method? Maybe it was. I can't imagine that it was, because there is no scene where the artist gets to show what's happening. In every scene where there's any sort of gray area, where there's any sort of confusion, where there's any sort of room for interpretation, Kirkman just has a character come out and outright say what is happening. You're attacking me with that knife. Just let the freaking artist do his work. Let the art tell the story. And use the dialogue appropriately. Everybody in this damn if I were in this damn prison with these people, I'd kill myself because of them. That nobody shuts up. It's just, my God. I am going to get some food. Hey, look, a hot dog. Let me put this hot dog on my plate. Hey, Carol, I see that you are eating some potato chips on your plate. How wonderful! And you're drinking water from that glass. Stupid. The governor is one of the most one-dimensionally evil characters that I've encountered, and I read superhero comics.
And he just looks like a scumbag whenever he first shows up. I mean, like they really are not even attempting to. The
TV show is probably, I don't think probably, he's the best villain they've ever had on the show. And
right. I think Negan was really good too. Like before they ruined it, but like two completely different types of villains.
And the comic book version is just the worst, and not in the good way.
He's awful. No, this is brutally
if you've seen
bad.
The TV show, remember the charm that the governor had when you meet him? Like, he's this kind of well-groomed, he looks like a guy that would be a governor, right?
Mm-hmm.
This guy looks like some scumbag that they found in like a street gang that they pulled in. You know, he looks like I don't even know, like Howard Stern crossed with a member of the Hells Angels. Not good is what I'm getting at. This whole the bottom line of this whole damn deal, Nick, is that this story is not good.
The story is not good. This entire comic is not good, and nothing about it has really been redeeming. Now 5 volumes in, and yet a year from now, here we will sit once again, wondering what exactly the hell it is we're doing with our lives.
Are there any characters that you did like in the story?
No.
I would say Glenn.
Dale. There you go. Dale's getting his old man dick sucked. Good for Dale. That's all I got.
Oh God. I would say Glenn. Glenn and Maggie, I thought were good in this, or relatively good by comparison.
Maggie was good until that weird scene where she went to her dad's room and was like, "Hey,
oh
I can't sleep with my boyfriend."
I forgot about that. Yes, I'm sorry to speak over you.
Instead.
Go ahead and explain that scene for the people again.
So the gimmick of this is that the helicopter crashes and Glenn, Rick, and Michonne take off to go find where the crash was, and on the way they encounter Woodbury and the governor, and bad things happen. While everybody back at the prison is sitting there worrying about the 3 of them and worrying what they will do without the presence of Rick Grimes to guide them. And so everybody goes to sleep one night, and Maggie, who has been shacking up with Glenn, comes back to her father's cell and says something to the effect of, "Glenn's not here, and I can't sleep, so can I sleep with you instead?" Which I get what they're going for, but the fact that it's so poorly executed makes it come off like creepy instead of like endearing and sentimental.
The combination of her being in her 20s, I think, and referring to him, and the fact that it's her saying, "Daddy, can I get in bed with you?" and him saying, "Come on over," and moving the car. It was not.
I've seen a few films with this kind of setup.
Yeah,
I know what happens.
And I couldn't stop seeing their TV counterparts.
Oh God,
there's just no way. I can't see Herschel in that way. But I forgot all about that scene, Nick, until you mentioned it. But that was extremely creepy. And then the other character I would say would be Tyrese. I like the Tyrese character. I think he's kind of the standout, really, in these volumes that we've read, in that he actually behaves somewhat like a human being, although you can question the Michonne thing. But otherwise, I mean, and Michonne is a badass in this, so that's fine. But it's just, I don't know. There's just nothing here. The dialogue sucks. The characters are one-dimensional. If they even have that one dimension, some of them are just.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Some of them are just seemingly there for no reason. I mean, what is the purpose of Otis?
Who knows? The art all starts to run together.
We haven't even touched on that.
You can't tell characters apart.
Otis looks so much like Rick in the face that I was doing double takes, thinking, "Who the hell is?"
And
this
then
guy?
Dale and Herschel look the same.
Yeah.
The only differentiation is the bucket hat.
The bucket hat. Yeah. Other than that, their faces and their way they're drawn is the same. Glenn is drawn distinctively, and Tyrese is drawn distinctively, as we mentioned. But Rick just looks like a dude, any dude that could be in the camp. The characters are just too similar. They don't have. It's not like they're all wearing distinguished costumes either. It's not like a comic book where you can have. People might say, "Well, you like Jim Lee art, and his faces look the same." Yeah, but they're wearing costumes. They have physiques that are different and costumes that are different and gimmicks that are different. And this is just a group of regular people, so they really need to look more distinct than dude with freckles and dude with slightly fewer freckles. I'm not going to say it's bad art. It's just it's not good enough art to make up for how bad the writing is for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think the art's very good. I mean, it's structurally fine, but it just doesn't do enough to differentiate scenes and locales and characters to really help me follow who is talking to who at any given time. Mm-hmm. Which maybe, I mean, you referenced earlier the fact that Kirkman doesn't really trust his artists. Maybe there's a reason for that, because I can't say that I trust this artist overwhelmingly. So, I don't know, man. This whole thing just sucks.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that, and it's very unfortunate because I know there's a lot of diehard fans of this book, a lot of people that have followed it from the beginning, and I just can't with it. I just can't, and I know I like a lot of things that would be considered objectively bad, so I can't say too many things about it. But it's just depressing every time I read this book and I think about all the success that this has had and all of the great comic book series that have failed over the years, or that have been cut short, or that have not really taken off critically and commercially the way that, or at least commercially the way that The Walking Dead did. And I know I keep trying to remind myself, Nick, that this was all taking place before the TV show and that it was ahead of its time and everything, but my God, it's a miracle to me a minor miracle that they got what they got out of the TV show for so long from this foundation. It feels like it feels almost like a Vince Russo comic in that it's completely built around shock value. That's the only sense I think of emotional attachment is, holy shit, something crazy just happened. For instance, in lieu of actual character development or drama or intrigue, they give us Michonne getting raped. They give us Shane getting killed on the last pages of the first volume. Remember, which comes out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. They give us Michonne blowing Tyrese. None of it makes sense narratively. None of it has been built to. No tension has been built. It just happens. And I don't know. It doesn't work for me at all. This may very well be the last Walking Dead month, Nick, because I'm not sure I can subject myself to this again.
Oh man, what a bombshell!
Sure. We'll have to see. We'll have to see, but I can still watch the TV show. I don't think I can read another volume of this.
Well, that means we have to now.
You just like to torture me.
Yes, that's true.
And yourself by proxy.
Maybe I'll torture you in the same way that the governor did Michonne.
Oh my gosh. Oh, what did you make of that scene, Nick? Was that
Oh god, it was terrible. I mean, everything about it was awful. The execution, the timing of it, the way it was written, the fact that just there's nothing redeeming about it.
No. I would agree. And unfortunately, if you want to see Michonne get her revenge, you're going to have to wait till the next volume of people standing around talking about plans. And with that being said, I'm cutting this short. We have nothing else to say about this. We've beaten this dead horse into the ground to the point where it's now reanimated and become a member of The Walking Dead. So, what are your thoughts on Volume 5 of The Walking Dead, The Best Defense? Let us know on Twitter. He is at Nick Duke 87. I am at GPhillips8652. You can join the Place to Be Nation Comics Facebook page, which we encourage. Go to Facebook and type in Place to Be Nation Comics. And if you have any particularly negative things to tweet at us, please tweet them to our burner account at JRsBBQ. So, with all that being said, we are going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, we've got the rundown. We have got watching. I'm trying to think if we'll have reading.
No,
I don't think so. I think we're just going to have watching. So, we'll be right back.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Place to Be Nations, JT Rosero and Chad Campbell here. We want to let you know that we have over 24 podcasts available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlaceToBeNation.com. We now offer them to you on two great feeds. On the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed, we dive into topics running the gamut from today's WWE to the glory days of yesteryear and the ins and outs of the territory days. In addition to our full-length shows, we also deliver to you special pod blasts on topics old and new.
The Place to Be Nation Pop feed is a veritable treasure trove of great content. Offer tremendous shows covering the land of movies, television, life, comics, and sports, brought to you by the most knowledgeable and insightful folks in the podcast world.
You can find all these great shows, plus archives of our past podcasts from over the past 8 years as well by subscribing to both feeds on iTunes. And while you're there, be sure to rate and leave feedback as well. All of these shows, plus others, available on PlaceToBeNation.com, where we cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, plus in-depth search projects, and much more. Be sure to support our site by using www.PlaceToBeNation.com/Amazon when doing your online shopping. And we want to thank our friends at Boneheads Wing Bar, ProWrestlingOnly.com, and TheHistoryOfWrestling.com as well. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. PlaceToBeNation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen, inside the L-shaped studio. Thank you for listening to our commercial break, in which we've promoted all of the wonderful shows and feeds across Place to Be Nation and Place to Be Nation Pop. And now
let's promote them again.
And now let's promote them all over again. Yes. First off, be sure to check out all of our weekly shows right here at Place to Be Nation Pop. We've got the Hard-Traveling Fanboys. That's us. Last week we had Jennifer
You already
Smith
heard
on
that.
to talk about.
They don't need to know, Greg. Just move on.
As we are in October, Scott continues his look at the classic Universal monsters in the latest edition of Pop Goes the Classics with 1941's The Wolfman. DC4U continues DC Comics' best.
Now, is that Andrew Woltman, as I understand it?
That's his Twitter handle, I believe. DC4U continues DC Comics' best horror offering with a review of the 2019 Swamp Thing pilot. I haven't actually watched that one yet, but it's on my to-watch list. I'm eager to hear what the guys had to say about that. This Week in the NFL hits weekly as well, with Roger and Johnny recapping the last set of games and previewing the upcoming weekend's batch. Siblings Kevin and Mary host the Brother Sister Rewatch podcast. On episode 21, they bring you The Office Season 3 episodes 13 and 14. Pop Goes the Movies looks at the...
Does the movies go pop?
Exactly. Looks at the long-awaited sequel Zombieland Double Tap. Join Andy and Jenny as they discuss the latest major movie release. The NBA team is back as Adam and Andrew provide a slew of team previews for the upcoming NBA regular season, including NBA champion Utah Jazz? ? On our newest show...
Breakout team Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young, my friend.
On our newest...
John Collins.
John Collins is good. He is. He was on my team last year.
So's Trae Young.
Yeah. The NBA team is back.
If he were on your fantasy team, we'd be sitting here talking about how great he is.
You're
but
right.
He's not.
On our newest show, Diamond Conversations, the premiere episode features an interview with the 2006 first-round pick of the San Diego Padres, Matt Antonelli. Hey, that's kind of cool. In a special holiday edition of Laugh in Theater, Andy hosts Jenny and Miranda to live watch It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. I don't think I've ever actually seen that one. I've definitely seen that one. Never mind. That's the Halloween one. All right. Mm-hmm. With the greatest song of the 80s tournament now in the rear view, our next tournament will be... And you know what? By the way, you should also tune in to Sunday Groove to listen to David Sunday and Tim Capel discuss the greatest song of the 80s tournament, which is now in our rear view. And our next tournament will be starting soon, and that is, wait for it, the greatest sitcom of all time tournament. Make sure to like our tournament page so you won't miss a single matchup. Yes, sir?
Let me just go ahead and say in advance, months in advance, I am disavowing these poll results because I am not going to be a part of any kind of sitcom tournament that winds up being Seinfeld and The Office in the finals, as we both know it will be.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Check
no interest. Like, you keep your shitty NBC comedies to yourself, please.
Yes. Besides, we all know that The Simpsons is the greatest sitcom of all time. Check out a brand new podcast feed brought to you by our very own Jennifer Smith. The Jenny Position can be found on Podbean, iTunes, and your favorite podcatcher app. It will be the new home of Geek and Sassy, Talkin' Pop, Freak Out Drive-In, and lots of fun new content. For the month of October, Place to Be Nation is holding our first annual Halloween Movie Challenge. We're giving you suggestions on what movies you should watch leading up to All Hallows Eve. And when you do, go on social media and let us know by using the hashtag PTB and Halloween Movie Challenge. But don't stop there. Every time you watch a scary or silly horror movie or special, let us know. And you know what we'll do? We'll add it to our list. The list, if you will. Now, Nick, I understand that there's also some stuff going on over at the wrestling feed.
Yeah, over at the wrestling feed on the Place to Be podcast, JT, Scott, and guest Todd Weber kick off a whole new decade of pay-per-views with Royal Rumble 1990. On the latest PTBN Extreme 3-Way Dance, JT, John, and Jenny continue their ECW adventure with 3 episodes of ECW Hardcore TV from May 1994. On Main Event 135, Scott, Nate, and Steve welcome Jordan Duncan to talk about the past 2 weeks of programming, including AEW, NXT, and SmackDown. I'm sure that's going to be a fair and balanced look at everything. It's October Guest Fest on Row 1, Seat 1, as Ben invites a slew of guests, including Excite Wrestling and the best independent wrestlers on the circuit. The latest episode of Talkin' WCW has Jenny, Tim, and Greg discussing the man called Sting as they delve into the 3 distinct eras of the Icon's illustrious WCW career. And I also understand you dive into the 3 distinct brothers of the Michaels family tree.
Yes, we talk. If you've ever wanted to hear the greatest untalked about conspiracy in the wrestling world of the brothers Michaels, you must listen to this podcast.
There really is an entire podcast in just the old Hooters wrestling stories. I mean, there were so many weird, just bizarre things that happened over that course of like two years in our lives.
Let's not undersell the mere existence of the Admiral, by the way.
The Admiral, an old man with an oxygen tank who wheeled it into Hooters each and every month to watch his beloved World Wrestling Federation or World Wrestling Entertainment by that point. Not to mention all the other cast of characters, but we are digressing. Don't forget to check out PlaceToBeNation.com each and every day. We have new voices and fresh takes, bringing you articles on topics in the worlds of wrestling, sports, and pop culture. But don't forget about veteran columns like every Wednesday, we've got the most interesting and unexpectedly funny stories on the World Wide Web in Glenn's Weekly Walk. And for college football fans, Scott Crisolo and Logan Crossland have their weekly Campus Hot Takes, looking back at the previous week and looking ahead to the biggest matchups. Catch their weekly column every Wednesday afternoon. And if you're doing online shopping over at Amazon.com, be sure to click the Amazon banner on the right side of the Place to Be Nation homepage or use PlaceToBeNation.com/Amazon, and it takes you right to Amazon and helps out PTBN with no cost to you. And finally, check out our social media pages and message board at www.bigelow34.proboards.com for information on joining our GWWE, PPV, and TV Match Ever project. Get in on the conversation today and start researching your list.
Ah, yes, our lists. Well, with that being said, folks, it's time for the weekly look at the news and notes in the world of comics. It's time for the rundown.
Welcome to the rundown.
Well, by Jove, we've got another loaded batch of news items here, most of which are television related, but some of which aren't. Let's start off with the big screen, shall we? Because look at that neglected corner of our studio. Can you see it over there, Nick?
I think they've even retired that corner.
You mean it's not the Worlds of DC corner?
Oh yeah, that's right. Who knows at this point?
The Worlds of DCU corner. And kicking off the show is the huge news that what may end up being the comic book event of next year, or the year after. What is it, Nick? When does it come out? 2021? 2020?
I'm fairly sure it's 2021. There's no way they would be. I mean, they haven't even started filming yet. So
yeah, so what could be the comic book event of 2021, which is The Batman. That's right, the rebooting Batman. Matt Reeves has got the director's chair, and we have, for the first time since Jim Carrey in 1995, the Riddler. That's right. Edward Nygma, Slick Eddie Nygma, as I call him, is going to be in this movie, and he'll be portrayed.
Yeah, they announced he's going to be Edward Nashton in this, though, so not going by Edward Nygma.
Ah, Eddie Nashton. Yes, that was a name that he was given in the comics, I believe, in the 2000s at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta be honest, don't like it. Just stick with Edward Nygma.
I mean, I don't mind it. The Edward Nygma thing is kind of like,
yeah, it is hokey, but I mean, it's comic books.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I'm just saying this is one thing I don't have a problem with.
It'll be fine, I'm sure. It'll be played by Paul Dano.
Yes.
Who is from There Will Be Blood, a litany of movies, in fact. And
Prisoners is what I know him best from.
And Prisoners. And Paul Dano, if you've never seen him in a movie, has an incredible ability to look and act like an absolute creep. And in this case, that's a huge compliment because I can't I can't think of too many better options to play the Riddler, honestly, because the Riddler should be this sort of wormy, pathetic, almost pretty much a loser that's also really, really smart and dangerous. And I think that Paul Dano can pull off smart, can pull off dangerous, can pull off smug, and especially can pull off creepy.
Yeah, I am all for this casting announcement. Really, I remember saying back when I first saw Prisoners several years ago that pretty much the entire cast I wanted to see in a Batman movie one day. And this is the first step down that road. Now just give me Gyllenhaal as Batman. That's what I want next.
Could happen. That's right. They haven't announced the casting, have they?
For Batman?
Yeah.
Robert.
Oh, that's
Pattinson.
right. Robert Pattinson. Yeah. Never mind. So I zoned out for a moment. Who are you wanting Gyllenhaal to play?
One day I want him to play Batman.
Will never happen.
At some point in the future.
It'll never happen.
Okay. I'm not sure what just happened.
Well, I was trying to pull up these long-loading Newsarama articles that you sent me for the rundown, and they're taking 10 years to load. So I got distracted by watching.
Anyway, Paul Dano's playing the Riddler. I think we're both in favor of it. Moving on.
Well, yes, we've got more casting announcements. Or not casting announcements. We've got more
news from Crisis on Infinite Earths, right?
That's correct.
There you go. First looks at the Anti-Monitor and Pariah. Your thoughts, Greg?
Well, the Anti-Monitor, his face kind of looks like a testicle a little bit.
It would be an exceedingly pale testicle.
Well, hey.
Maybe he looks like one of. Remember when E.T. was dying and he turned all ashy? Maybe he looks like one of dying E.T.'s testicles.
Yes, and actually looks really cool and menacing too. So a menacing testicle.
And being played by the same actor is still a cool touch.
Yeah, I like it. Flip flopping the monitor and the Anti-Monitor. So very good there. Looks awesome. And we got the news that Tom Cavanaugh will be playing Pariah, who is a huge...
No, that news has been out there for a while. This was just our first look at him.
Character in the Crisis. And we got to look at the costume, and it looks pretty comic book accurate, does it not, Nick?
It's cool. I'm all for this.
Very good. And that's not the only Crisis news that we've gotten. We also have, for the very first time that I'm aware of in live action, we're getting Jim Corrigan, a.k.a. the Spectre.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is awesome. I'm all for this.
Supernatural actor Stephen Lobo has been... What a great name! Holy shit! Stephen Lobo has been cast as Detective Jim Corrigan during the Crisis on Infinite Earths Arrowverse crossover. Now, Nick, both of us are fans of the Spectre as a concept, and so how do you think these shows can pull that character off?
I don't know. I'm interested to see because he's going to be kind of crammed into Crisis, so I'm hoping this just sets him up for future appearances in other shows, perhaps Legends or maybe a future Constantine spinoff or something like that.
He definitely would seem to fit in, at least in maybe a couple of episodes of Legends. I don't know if I could see him being a member of the Wave Rider, but you never know. They've pulled off some wilder stuff. Well, let's go to the printed page for DC, shall we, Nick?
Mm-hmm.
We shall. Scott Snyder, the acclaimed writer of Batman for a long time, currently writing Justice League, kind of surprised some folks, actually, this week with the announcement, with the solicit, that Justice League number 39, which will be coming out in January 2020, will be Scott Snyder's last issue of the title. The solicit says, Superstar scribe Scott Snyder says farewell to the Justice League with a special story that both winds down all the things he started in issue number 1 and nods toward everything that comes next in the DC universe. The rumors, if you believe the rumors, there are rumors out there that a Crisis is coming and that Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo will be championing and captaining that Crisis ship. Well, speaking of Scott Snyder's Justice League, his acclaimed artist, Jorge Jimenez, is also exiting Justice League with the promise that something, quote, bigger is coming. It doesn't get much bigger than Justice League, but he says he and Snyder will be working on something bigger, so perhaps he will be involved in said crisis. Nick?
Let's hope so. I've not read any of Scott Snyder's Justice League, but I have many issues sitting around that I've never gotten around to reading, so we shall see.
Well, Nick, I know that this news will appeal to you. It will speak to your bitter heart. Jeff Loeb is expected to exit Marvel Television by Thanksgiving. The Hollywood Reporter is corroborating and adding new details to this week's reporting by Variety that Jeff Loeb will be exiting his role as head of Marvel Television. He has been planning his departure, expected to be announced by Thanksgiving, since well before Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige was given oversight on all Marvel divisions. I'm trying to get the gist of it here. He's a free agent. His talents are available to other studios for an exclusive deal. They would like to hire him. Apparently, there is also an ABC show in the planning, and that's still going to go forward even without Jeff Loeb. Not that I'm one to tell anybody what to do with their lives, because he should do whatever can make him the most money. I would like to see Jeff Loeb come on home to DC and maybe write a couple Batman comics. What do you think there, Nick?
Well, I would hope that even if he decides to sign a full-time television production deal with somebody, because he won't be then working for a direct competitor, you know what I mean? Right. He might still be able to write comics. I think his heart is probably more in the TV production side of things right now, and that's probably more lucrative. But I think the hope is out there that perhaps he could still be able to do comics on the side here and there. I think the world needs one last Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale collaboration on Batman before it's too late.
Or a proper Hush sequel, maybe done in the Black Label line.
That would be good. That would be good as well.
But yes, that would be nice. Or even having Jeff Loeb to oversee some of the animated movies that they're doing. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But in any event, he's out of Marvel for right now, which I think is probably a good thing. In any event, speaking of Marvel, on the printed page, Nick, Marvel is launching a brand new Daily Bugle title led by Robbie Robertson as the lead, and it will be it claims to have revelations that will change the way you view Spider-Man forever, as Robbie discovers a secret that will affect everyone who has ever come into contact with the web-slinger. It's actually a mini-series. It spans 5 issues and tackles events from Nick Spencer, or Nick Spencer's current run on Amazing Spider-Man. And, this is pretty much what we've been asking for from DC for a long time about that Daily Planet book, right?
Yeah, we've kind of been asking, like you said, for this from DC, and we're going to get it from Marvel. Marvel has done something similar to this in the past with the Pulse many years ago, but this is the first time they've tried it since then, and they're trying it with a character in the form of Robbie Robertson that isn't enjoying nearly as high a profile currently as, say, Jessica Jones was at that time, or even J. Jonah Jameson was at that time, who were the two arguably co-leads of the Pulse. So this should be very interesting. I'm probably not going to read it just because I'm so far behind on all my other comics, but I support the idea of this.
Same thing. I said the same thing about when DC launched the Lois Lane comic. I'm very supportive of this. I think there's ways to tell good stories about newspaper reporting. So while it still exists, so I like it. I don't know much about this writer, Matt Johnson. It says here,
I don't know anything about him either.
He is known for Hellblazer, the Hellblazer special, Papa Midnight, actually, Incognito, and Loving Day. And could be a good book here.
Did you say Incognito?
Yes.
That's a pretty great title.
It is. Marvel is also, Marvel's really kind of controlling the back half of this rundown here. They are actually launching a series of podcasts, which I think have been rumored for a while, but this is a little bit more wide-ranging in scope than maybe what we had in mind. Sirius XM and Marvel have announced a multi-year agreement under which Marvel will create a substantial amount of exclusive podcasts for Sirius and Pandora. The most sweeping podcast deal for Marvel ever will include both scripted and unscripted series, live themed events, and much more, premiering in 2020. Included in the slate of programming are 4 new scripted series, each 10 episodes, based around the iconic characters of Wolverine, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and Star-Lord, as well as a 5th series in which all 4 team up. Unscripted podcasts that look at Marvel's rich history through a modern-day lens of pop culture, podcasts dedicated to popular Marvel franchises, and regular talk shows, including an interview that will feature famous celebrity guests. Nick, I have not had a chance to listen to the Wolverine podcast, although I really want to. What are your thoughts on this whole deal? Is there a market for this? Do you think this is a good idea?
I've only listened to the first season of the Wolverine podcast, and it was quite good. I need to listen to the second season. Yeah, I like this kind of stuff. I've always been a big fan of graphic audio. Remember we've long threatened to review one of those for the podcast.
Indeed.
And this is kind of just a similar concept. This is the modern take on that. Podcasting has kind of swept the world, and scripted podcasting seems to be the thing that is taking off now that hasn't really been a thing in the past. But it makes sense that Marvel's going to have a wider presence in podcasting in general, both scripted and unscripted, and partnering with Pandora and Sirius is a natural way to do that. So this all sounds cool to me. I am curious to see a couple of things stand out about this. Okay, Wolverine, Hawkeye, and Black Widow teaming up, that makes sense. You're going to tell this, kind of espionage, more street-level story, right? Well, how the hell does Star-Lord relate to all that is what I want to know. And then also, I've forgotten the other thing that stood out to me.
Therein lies the rub. I mean, that's the intrigue here. How are they going to tie Star-Lord into these other 3 characters?
Oh, and I remember the other thing that stood out to me. I'm wondering if they will bring back the same Wolverine cast from the 2 previous Wolverine podcasts, or if they will recast now, since those were on Stitcher, and these will be on direct competitors to Stitcher in the form of Pandora.
I don't know, but I like this move by Marvel, and I don't really have time to listen to Marvel podcasts or DC podcasts for that matter, but I like the move. It's interesting. The story sounds interesting of how these characters will come together. I've always been a sucker for kind of these stories where grounded heroes and cosmic heroes have to interact, and how do they interact? Pretty interesting stuff here. Well,
maybe when they come out, we'll review one.
Maybe so. Well, that's been the rundown, and that means it's time for our look at the world of movies and TV shows. It's called Watching.
Watching, what you been watching?
And Nick, our stories are
What you
back
been
in
watching?
full force.
Yes, let's see if we can do this without getting confused as to which episodes we're reviewing.
I am still not caught up, by the way, on Supergirl.
Okay.
Or Black Lightning.
Okay.
I have watched The Flash, and I have watched Arrow.
Uh-huh. What about Batwoman?
But episode 2 of Batwoman, episode 2 of The Flash,
and episode 1 of Arrow. Perfect.
And you have watched episode 3 of Supergirl, right?
Yes.
And
yes. No.
Or episode 2 of Supergirl. And episode 2 of Black Lightning.
Yes.
All right.
But we'll withhold comment on those until you
Well,
you
no,
catch up.
I mean, you can go ahead and give your
Yeah, we'll just withhold comment. We'll withhold comment.
Withhold comment. All right. Jeez. My God. You're vociferous about withholding comment. All right. Well, let's start with The Flash, shall we?
Let's start with Batwoman, since that's technically first in our week.
All right, folks. We're going to start with Batwoman. Episode 2 of Batwoman happened and featured Kate picking up on the end of the first episode, where she finds out that Alice may, in fact, be her long-lost sister. And she is on a mission to prove that this is her sister who's been missing for all these years. And that's pretty much what this episode is about. Kate trying to get a DNA sample to prove that this is her sister, her confronting Alice, and then them being kind of betrayed by Kate's former lover, now working for her dad, who gives away their location. A lot going on in this episode. I thought this was actually a step up from the premiere.
I agree.
I thought the emotional heart was there. I thought the scenes in particular with a younger Jacob Kane with Kate when she was a young girl after her mom and sister had been killed, his wife and daughter had been killed. I thought those were particularly good. In particular, the last scene with young Kate, where the dad finds the map.
And then clearly makes up the story to try and get her to
give up the search and the hope, even though it kills him to do so. Right. I thought that was very powerful, very powerful.
Yeah, I thought the episode in general was better than the premiere, mainly because it felt like we didn't get as much of the stepsister or as much of the stepmom or as much of the former lover. It felt like they were narrowing the focus a little bit more, because part of my problem with the premiere, while I still enjoyed it, was that there were so many characters that and they each tried to get a slice of screen time to the extent that I felt like it detracted from the show, what should have been the focus, which was establishing Kate first and foremost. And this, I think, gets back to basics a little bit, and I thought was actually a pretty substantial improvement in my view from the premiere.
I agree. I still think that the show is still missing a little something. I don't know what it is, but a big step up. The emotional heart was there, which is the most important thing for me in these shows. They've gotten me to care about these characters a little bit. I am
fully prepared for you to nitpick next week's episode to death.
Why?
Hush is coming.
Oh God. Oh
no. What's wrong with that?
I don't have faith in them to do him right. Nobody ever.
You don't have faith in anyone to do him right.
Who has, Nick?
Jeff Loeb and Paul Denny.
Who has outside of the comics?
Well, who's adapted him outside of the comics?
Video games, where the
video games are fine. He's just barely in them.
Right.
Like he's
presented.
But the scenes that he's been in are pretty good. Yeah.
And the of course the animated movie.
Animated film, yeah.
But in any event, we'll see what they do with that. But no, I thought this was a step up. Alice is kind of hit or miss for me as a character, honestly. But this was better. And it's interesting, the Arrow parallels that continue from season 1 of Arrow, because they appear to be positioning Kate's stepmom as sort of a Moira Queen-like figure. Who, remember, we found out pretty early on in season 1 of Arrow that Moira wasn't what she was pretending to be.
Wasn't all she was cracked up to be. Yeah, that's true.
So, similar notes.
Yeah, but yeah, I enjoyed this overall.
Yeah, same.
So let's hope it continues the momentum next week.
The Flash, episode 2, continuing the trend, in my opinion, of steps up from the premieres. I thought this was also a step up from the premiere. This was centered around.
I mean, anytime you get John Wesley Shipp as a major focus of the episode, Flash is almost always great. And this is the case here.
And this was compounded by the fact that Barry goes to Earth 3, I believe.
Yeah,
it is.
3.
And on Earth 3, he meets Joan, who is Jay Garrick's, of course, as we know from the comics, Jay Garrick's wife, Joan. They've now met and they're in a relationship, and Barry meets Joan, who looks exactly like his mother, and is played by that actress. And remember that Jay looks, of course, exactly like his father,
Daddy.
Both of whom are dead. So it's another chance. And Nick,
so what you're saying is that baby has his eyes.
Your baby has my eyes. So as you know, Nick, for me, anytime you get an excuse for Grant Gustin to emote in an episode, it's going to be good. And that's pretty much what this gives us. It gives us a chance for Grant to emote as Barry Allen and to act with his eyes and act with his facial expressions. And he's damn good. He's really, really good. All of that stuff with the crisis involvement. Dude, I was marking out so hard for every single reference to the crisis that came up here. Barry running until he evaporates. Spoiler alert. Sorry, people. It's a flash forward. And the multiple worlds, the talk of worlds will be altered and all this, just the cosmic ramifications of it, the talk of the multiverse collapsing. This was just music to a DC fanboy's heart. I thought all that stuff was great. The stuff back on Earth where they're trying to run down what was it they were doing? They were trying to run down. Wasn't there another like Earthbound villain involved here?
Yeah, there was, but I forgot her name already. It was that character that turned out. Yeah. She turned out not to be evil after all, and then they gave her a job at Iris's newspaper she started.
Yes, that subplot was not terribly interesting.
Iris started a brand new, financially successful newspaper from the ground up, in the mid 2000s or the late 2000s or 2010s, Greg. Let me just go ahead and say that on a show with magical speedsters and time travel and a multidimensional crisis, that is the one thing that is stretching the limits of possibility and believability more than anything else.
And the public trusts her. But
it's just it.
But no, that part of the episode was pretty, kind of dull. Honestly, I wasn't super into the villain of the week this time, but
we were here for Barry. That's what we were here for,
and we got that. And also, I was pleased with Ralph being back in the fold. Ralph was really good here.
He was
dropping some Ralph knowledge and a little bit of development for the Caitlin and Killer Frost storyline. So. Nothing wrong there. Mohinder Suresh was back, and maybe he's not quite as mustache-twirlingly evil as we suspected. He would appear to be horrified that he accidentally killed this guy, but there you have it.
Mm-hmm.
And,
good episode.
Yeah, solid, good episode. Now, let's talk about the main event of the evening, Nick. Now, folks, what you may be hearing is the sound of Nick Duke suffering from some sinus issues, Feinbaumian sinus issues, because it was Nick Duke who, every season, I would remind you of Arrow, virtually since season 1, has been predicting the return of Tommy Merlin. And he's popped up here and there in various versions in the last couple seasons, but here we get another version of Tommy Merlin, because when Arrow first starts, it looks like we're rewatching the pilot episode. Until Oliver removes his hood, and instead of the long, bushy beard, he's got a well-kept beard. And it's the Oliver Queen that we all know and love. Mm-hmm. And we quickly find out that Oliver is on a different Earth.
Oh, there's also another noticeable difference from that early sequence.
Oh, yes. Instead of Deathstroke's mask being with an arrow through it in the ground, we see Batman's cowl with an arrow through it. Very interesting, Nick, yes?
Very exciting.
And not the only Bruce Wayne reference in the show. So Oliver has landed on an Earth via the monitor where instead of being...
Earth 2. It's confirmed to be Earth 2.
Yes, Earth 2. Where instead of being gone for 5 years on Lian Yu, he has been gone for 11 years, I believe it's mentioned in the dialogue. And he returns home to Starling City, and a Starling City that is vastly different. His mother is still alive and married to Malcolm Merlin, which means Tommy Merlin, who is still alive and sporting an epic beard, is now his stepbrother. Unfortunately, Thea Queen died of a vertigo overdose not long after Oliver was shipwrecked. So in that regard, it's mirroring the events of season 1 of Arrow. We also find that there is a hood operating in Starling City, and it is none other than Prometheus. Adrian Chase is the hood of Earth 2, and he is working alongside Katie Cassidy's Laurel Lance, the Black Siren, as sort of a makeshift Black Canary and Green Arrow, which even Adrian even refers to her as Pretty Bird at one point, which I thought was a pretty great nod to the comics, Nick, and something that would scratch that itch for a lot of people. So it's a really interesting world where Oliver's seeing how bad things have gotten without him getting there. People are, even though the undertaking didn't happen the way it was originally planned, we find out that Tommy is planning an undertaking of his own because he is the Dark Archer. And Oliver is trying to collect some dark star energy or something like that to collect for the Monitor to help in the impending crisis that is coming. Diggle shows up about halfway through the episode. He follows Oliver to Earth 2 with some help from Cisco, and which I loved. I freaking loved it, seeing Diggle pop up. So many emotions here. Oliver's reunion with Tommy, him realizing that Tommy has broken bad, his eventual ability to put Tommy back on the right path, to redeem Tommy, and to see the emotion between them when that happens. The reunion with his mother, Oliver's reaction to Malcolm being his stepdad, Diggle and Oliver coming together, and Diggle refusing to let Oliver go gently into the good night. So many great moments here. Oliver having to watch this world collapse around him. Pretty shocking, by the way, the complete evaporation that we get at the end of the episode. I don't want to completely spoil what happens, but took me off guard, but yet it's aligned perfectly with the comics for the Crisis. So, and even, Nick, I don't know if you saw this on the CW app, there's a video of that's deliberately titled John Diggle and Oliver Queen, Hard-Traveling Heroes, which really spoke to my heart. And David Ramsey, who plays John Diggle, says in the video, he says, we're doing everything except looking at the camera and winking. So you should know that if we say Hard-Traveling Heroes, that's intentional. So be on the lookout. So, Nick, this was amazing. This was one of the best Arrow episodes, I thought. It was really, really good. Hit on all the right notes. Great action. I mean, what can you say?
Outstanding episode. Did truly shocking things, especially that ending, because it makes me wonder about other characters who we grew to know on other shows. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know.
And I love this episode. It also makes me think that be more confident of what we're going to see ultimately happen as a result of this, with regards to all of these shows kind of coming in line with one another. I'll go ahead and say I believe that by the end of this season, and I think you would agree with this as well, by the end of this season, I think Supergirl will no longer be on her own Earth. That she will be.
I don't think any of the shows will.
I agree. They'll all be integrated into one shared Earth.
Which will be interesting, especially for Black Lightning, because it's been off on its own the entire time and never interacted. So
we'll have to see. Maybe we're wrong on that, but I believe that'll be the case. Batwoman as well. And also that there's a very, very good Bruce Wayne reference in here, as Adrian is talking to Oliver, and he says that Bruce Wayne told him some piece of advice, and I was like, gosh, they're going to have a Batman in this universe before too long. I mean, hell, we got an old man Bruce in Titans, so we can get him on here surely. Mm-hmm. All right, well, there you have it. So I guess we should rank them. I will let you include Supergirl and Black Lightning in your rankings, to be fair. So I'll go first, and I will say Arrow at number 1, I will say Flash at number 2, and I will say Batwoman at number 3.
Arrow is 1, Flash is 2, Batwoman is 3, Supergirl is 4, and Black Lightning is 5.
There you have it. Let us know your rankings. Tweet us, Facebook us. Tell us your rankings on the programs. I also, Nick, before we move on, I also have watched something else. David Sunday and I watched the second episode of this season of AMC's The Walking Dead, and we were talking about the big jumps up for the second episode of The Flash and the second episode of Batwoman after ho-hum premieres. This was a much more marginal step up. I thought this was better than the first episode. I still didn't think it was a good episode. I thought it was just an okay episode. The first episode was kind of middling to bad. This one was okay to decent. And it was all about the origin story of Alpha and Beta, as we find out how they first met, what the nature of their relationship was, and what it has kind of turned into. And we also get some present day stuff with Alpha still struggling to come to terms with letting her daughter go, and how that's affecting her psychologically. So I thought this was overall a solid enough episode. I thought the best parts were easily the past stuff. The stuff with Alpha and her young daughter when they first encountered Beta, I thought was actually really good. Unfortunately, all the present day stuff I thought was boring and introduced a bunch of characters, or several new characters that I wasn't interested in. So we'll see if things pick up. They're still moving glacially slow at this point.
What else? What else can you expect from The Walking Dead?
And I'm hoping that we do get a Carol versus Alpha confrontation sooner rather than later. So, moving on from that, I don't believe that I witnessed or watched anything else over the weekend comic book related. What about you, Nick?
No, I did not.
There you have it. And I can't help but look at the clock on my computer here, and I noticed that it's time for the Wrestling Minute. Can you believe it, Nick? What a time for wrestling. What a time.
It is.
Eric Bischoff.
What a time for me to discuss wrestling, because I didn't watch any of it last week, hardly.
Oh my God. You didn't watch any wrestling?
Well, I watched Raw last week and this week, and then but last Wednesday I was at the 40th anniversary screening of Alien, and then last Thursday I was at a rather unfortunate screening of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. And then Friday night, I had to go to bed early because we were going to Athens because, I'm a crazy person who leaves at like 3 a.m. for football games.
Plus, you have to fly all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. You have to get...
Plus the Atlantic, right.
So
other than Raw, I really have no first-hand knowledge. But you were going to leave it to Bischoff thing, which is interesting.
Yes, Eric Bischoff has been relieved of his duties and supposedly in charge of the SmackDown brand, although it's never really been made clear what exactly it was he was supposed to be doing. And he has been relieved of his duties and replaced with your boy, Nick, Bruce Pritchard. So what do you make of it? What do we make of this? I mean, we've gotten a supposed creative shakeup on SmackDown. I did think.
Are we surprised? We're not surprised by this, are we?
No, I'm not. I'm actually surprised that it lasted months. I figured it would last maybe a month.
Well,
2.
It lasted this long only because all the reports indicated that he never really took over the job he was. The announcement made it sound like he was going to essentially be running the show, and every report that came out subsequently never really made it sound like he started doing that. So that's why it lasted so long. I think they were both waiting for this ramp up or this official taking of the reins that never really occurred. And I guess Vince just got impatient, is what I would assume.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he did. I don't know what he was supposed to do. I don't know what Bruce is supposed to be doing. But nonetheless, I will say, for whatever it's worth, and I'm not saying that this is because of this by any means, because I feel kind of bad for Eric that he had to move across country for 4 months, basically. But I will say, I thought this third episode of SmackDown on Fox was by far the best one yet.
Oh, I mean, that's the clear Pritchard influence.
Clear Pritchard influence. And I mean, no, I thought this show flowed well. They didn't have that albatross that was the crappy draft weighing them down. They didn't have some of the
Fox robot walking around the draft room.
God, the guy in the clown makeup. They didn't have the sort of pomp and circumstance of the first episode going on, or the Kane reveal and all that. They just were able to put together a wrestling show, and it wasn't. I don't think it was blow away. I don't think it was as great as some of the NXT shows that we've been seeing recently, or AEW shows. But I thought it was a good episode of SmackDown. Good wrestling. It built to a logical conclusion, a good main event. The women's division is really taking shape. Bayley is getting over with her heel persona. I thought there were some good tag matches on the show. Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns have made a surprisingly good tag team, and I enjoyed seeing them link up again. So yeah, I thought it was a solid wrestling show and enjoyable. And hopefully they can keep that going in the coming weeks as we get that, as you mentioned, Nick, clear Pritchard influence.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how does that compare to I'm not going to go. Yeah, so
go ahead.
I'm excited about the way the direction of the company there in that regard. And Raw, I don't know if you watched it this week, Nick. We didn't talk about it, but Raw I thought was really good this week. Not really good, but good.
Yeah, I liked it as well. Solid episode as we build towards Crown Jewel and the monumental Team Hogan versus Team Flair match.
Now, I want to get you had some interesting takes on this, by the way. We got to get this out to the public eye. When Seth Rollins had to drop out of his role as captain of Team Hogan to wrestle the Fiend in a match that will apparently never end, so I mean he's sacrificing the rest of his life here for this match, Nick, and yet you still begrudge him because he's abandoning his post as the captain of Team Hogan. Is this correct?
Well, I think you have to ask yourself, Greg, what's more prestigious and more valuable to a professional wrestler in today's environment? Is it being the universal champion, or is it captaining Team Hogan? And I think the answer there is apparent to anyone who takes a moment and removes their own biases from the equation. The answer is undoubtedly captaining Team Hogan is a much more prestigious honor, which is why, the bigger star of the Shield split is now taking over that post. So,
that
so long, Seth Rollins.
That I'm glad you mentioned that, Nick. We got to look at these teams, and I want you to tell me, objectively now. I want you to remove your Hogan visors.
No, I don't have any Hogan visors.
You've got Team Hogan, captained by Hulk Hogan, featuring Roman.
No, coached by Hulk Hogan.
Coached by Hulk Hogan, captained by Roman Reigns. Okay,
thank you.
Including the recently returned Rusev, who's got a lot of stuff on his mind right now.
He does.
Focus on a match? I don't know. Ricochet.
Well, you got to remember, this is where I think Hogan has outsmarted Flair. They're going to Saudi Arabia. If Bobby Lashley tries that adultery shit in Saudi Arabia, he's going to be decapitated before he ever gets to the ring.
Good point.
So Team Flair's one man down already.
But then you've got Ricochet, who's just been annihilated on Raw by Drew McIntyre. Certainly, he's going to be less than 100%. You'd have to think.
We don't know yet. We'll have to see.
Then you got Shorty Gable, or Shorty G, if you will, and
Shorty G.
I mean, he's short. I don't know if you knew this. How is he going to compete with the likes of King Corbin or Shinsuke Nakamura or God forbid the mountain of a man that is Drew McIntyre? I mean, he's short.
Well, Hulk Hogan is probably going to have to give him his Hall of Fame ring to give him magical powers. That would be my strategy.
That's a good point. Did he ever get that? Did Abyss ever regurgitate the ring for him?
No, he didn't regurgitate it, but it was eventually obtained.
Oh my! And then finally, you've got Ali, who feels like an unlikely member of Team Hogan. But
what the hell's that supposed to mean?
I'm just saying, the Hulkster has not always been. He's had some controversial statements in the past, and I'm just saying it's unlikely.
So Ali is the controversial member and not Ricochet? What are you trying to imply?
Put them together. Like I said, Ricochet's not even going to be 100%. So you got Ali, you got a lot of high flyers on this team. Ali, Ricochet, Shorty G to an extent, and they're going up against some powerhouses on Team Flair. You got to say, Nick, the edge has to go to Team Flair.
No, I don't. I disagree with that. I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
We'll find out.
The coaching matters, Greg, as you know.
Well,
listen,
coaching's the only thing that matters.
When we wake up on November 1st, I think we'll be having to ask Barrett Salim, Ric Flair.
I love you for that, Nick Duke. That was wonderful.
No one gets it. That's okay.
Barrett Salim.
Let me just ask you, Ric Flair. It's not a question. It's just a name.
Let's go to Daryl. Daryl, what are your thoughts on this? On Ric Flair. Oh, God. Anyway, no, that's going to be... We'll find out when we both read the results of the Saudi Arabia show as it happens. And see who came out on top between the two.
Under most circumstances, I would watch it just because Hogan's on it. But I'm going to be on Jacksonville Beach that day, so I doubt I will be watching that show.
Jacksonville time. Well, in any event, that wraps up the Wrestling Minute. We got nothing else. There's lots of great stuff going on in pro wrestling. Great time to be a fan. Lots of moving and shaking. I think Raw is really starting to take shape now as we know what Heyman wants to do with some of these guys, if he'll be allowed to do it. And SmackDown maybe getting back on the right foot a little bit. NXT is still killing it, from what I understand. I'm behind on it, unfortunately. A couple episodes. And AEW I'm behind an episode on, but I've watched the first half of last week's show, and it was very good. So excited to keep up going forward. Well, that's it, Nick.
Absolutely.
That's the end of the show.
Well, it would be if it weren't for our tradition that's been going on, God, probably about a year now, I would think. I don't remember when we first started doing this, but we have to have our musical exit performed by WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross. And, last week, JR did his take on a modern rap classic that talked about men. And so now I think it's time for JR to counter by talking about women and what kind of women it is that good old JR prefers. So, Jim, take it away.
Well, thank you for that again, Conrad. I really appreciate that.
I'm not Conrad. We have discussed this at length. I know I am fat.
I know I live in Alabama. I know I have a beard, but I am far less wealthy than Conrad. I am not Conrad.
Well, agree to disagree, quite frankly. I mean, it's fine. What happened to disagreeing amicably? In any event, here's a little tune that was written when I was a young JR back in the early 90s in WCW at the Turner Networks, which I am right now, by the way, AEW every Wednesday night on TNT. Goes a little something like this. Well, I was raised in a sophisticated kind of style. Yeah, my taste in music and women drove my folks half wild. Mom and Dad had a plan for me. It was debutantes and a symphony. But I like my music exactly how I like my women wild. Yeah, and I'll admit it, I like my women just a little on the trashy side. When they wear their clothes too tight and their hair is dyed. Too much lipstick and too much rouge gets me excited, leaves me feeling a little bit confused, quite frankly. It's kind of like when I look at the WWEP porn account on Twitter. I signed some of those ladies, quite frankly. And I like my women just a little bit on the trashy side. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, you should have seen the looks on the faces of my daddy and mama. When I showed up at the door with my date for the senior prom. They said, well, pardon us, son, she ain't no kid. That's a cocktail waitress in a Dolly Parton wig. And I said, I know that, Dad. Ain't she cute? That's the kind I dig. Yeah, and I like my women just a little on the trashy side. When they wear their clothes too damn tight and their hair is dyed like the nature boy Ric Flair. Too much lipstick and too much rouge. It gets me excited. Quite frankly, when it was on the likes of Ronnie Garvin, it would leave me feeling confused. And I like my women just a little bit on the trashy side now. I like them sweet. I like them with a heart of gold. Yeah, and I like them brassy, I like them brazen and bold. Well, they say that opposites attract. I think it's a Paul Abdul song. Well, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, quite frankly. I don't care if you're on the Twitterverse. I want a woman just as tacky as me. Yes, I like my women just a little on the trashy side. There's no doubt about it. Yet I like my women just a little on the trashy side. There's no question about that, Francis. When they wear their clothes too tight, their hair is dyed. Too much lipstick and too much rouge. It gets my ass excited. Leaves my ass feeling confused. And I like my women just a tad now on the trashy side. Yes, I like my women to be on the trashy side, for God's sake.
Hard-Traveling Fanboys.